one time we conducted a verbal debrief at the end of this course. And one of the students in the class, in response to the block that we're about to teach right now, he said, I love the class, I love the course, except that block on protocol and etiquette was dumb. It was a waste of my time. I could have spent my time doing a lot of more valuable things and spent my energy better elsewhere. One of his teammates was in the class, so it was him and a guy he was on detail with. And that teammate reached out to us probably about 10 days after the class was over and said, hey, I just wanted to let you know, despite what my teammate said, we used almost every single thing in that block within 10 days of leaving the class. So this class is kind of crazy because we'll be talking 1 hour over here, we're talking about intelligence, and then the next hour over here, we're talking about electronics, and the next hour over here, we're on the mats and we're using our hands, and then we're walking in the parking lot, and then we're on gun, and then we're doing driving, and now we're gonna sit and talk about what fork and knife we're supposed to use when we take and do this. And that's the bizarre nature of this job, right? Is it one moment Marco's talking about single-breasted versus double-breasted, and then we're talking about offending people that are from some far-off African nation because of their customs and courtesies. It's important for us to educate ourselves as best as we can because, again, remember, we're not bodyguards, and our job is to do what? Solve problems, not create them. And you guys can imagine whether it's because of behavior, whether it's customs, whether it's courtesies, whether it's table manners, the way we speak, that we can do things that can cause problems. That makes sense to everybody. So at the tip top of page 39 right there, we've got the word protocol, we've got the word etiquette, and I don't want you guys necessarily to have to memorize what these definitions are, but what I do want you guys to do is have the ability to spot bad behavior or improper behavior when you see it, right? You look and say, that's wrong. I can recognize that that's wrong. So I'm going to give you guys a couple examples here. See if everybody can wrap their head around this. I'm visiting the Bay Area in November, right? I just happened to be here in November, and Marco's gracious enough that he says, hey, you doing anything for Thanksgiving? I said, nope. And he says, well, I'd like to open my home to you and invite you to come over. Why don't you come over to my house for Thanksgiving? And that's very gracious of you, right? So we come over and we have a few drinks, and we hear a holler from the kitchen, and they say, what, turkey's ready? Everybody go ahead and take your seats. And I walk into the living room, and I sit right there. Why are we laughing? That's the head of the table. But am I the head of the table? I'm the guest, right? And this is fantastic because none of us in this room have taken and had this course from us before. None of us have worked together, but we are all Americans, and we all take and we look at that and we, no, you don't sit there. That would be an example of what? Protocol. There is a series of procedures that may be in place, or a pecking order that exists as far as who goes where and who does what and who's got a right place here and there. So let's say we get that sorted out, and now I'm sitting over here maybe in a different location. And yes, sir?
In some social circles, if you're the guest of honor, though.
Absolutely.
But you would be invited.
Absolutely. Exactly right. No, I can't disagree with that for a second. In the case of an American traditional Thanksgiving dinner in someone else's home, might be different. What would happen if it was my birthday, right? If it was my birthday and he invited me to his home and it was for a surprise birthday party, I would say it might be likely that I might be seated up there with a paper hat on my head, right? that could very likely be the case, right? In fact, if I were to voluntarily sit in a position over here, I might be told, no, come over here, you're gonna park it up here, we're gonna put a sombrero on you, and we're gonna sing, and we're gonna do all that. So let's say we get this all sorted out come Thanksgiving time, and I do sit over here, and despite every best effort that you had, there's a little overcooked section of turkey, right? And I get a mouthful of that, and it's maybe a little difficult to chew, it's a little gristly, and I turn my head to the side and just spit it onto the floor, right? Right?
Never invited again.
Yes? Okay. Is there any place that's normal or accepted tradition or custom? Yeah, China. Yeah, China. Totally normal. In fact, that behavior had to be temporarily outlawed during the Olympics in China. Also, turn to the side, blasting your nose onto the floor. The Chinese know, they're even aware, they're aware that to the rest of the world, I'm not judging the behavior, but to the rest of the world, it's considered odd, rude, off, weird, bizarre. And in the cities where there were Olympic events being held for a brief window of the Olympics, they said, yeah, we may want to sort of hide that behavior from the rest of the world. Remember this, I don't care what gender you are, I don't care what race you are, I don't care what religion you are, I don't care what ethnicity, I don't care what tribe you belong to. Every one of us has a tradition, custom, courtesy, something of some sort that another group, another tribe thinks is frickin' nuts. Every one of us. And every one of us looks down our nose at someone else and says, I can't believe these people do this. This is crazy. I'm from Chicago. Anybody else from Chicago in here? Anybody else Irish in here? Guess where we hold our wakes in Chicago?
The bar.
On the dining room table in your house. Anybody ever heard that before? They bring the dead body to your house and they put it on the dining room table. Anybody ever done that? Anybody been to one of those? Anybody think that's weird? Yeah, exactly. I tell people that and they say, you did what? And then on 2 days later, you eat off that table? Yeah, exactly. Uncle Phil was dead on the table. And we waked him and then we were eating off the table. Right? There's a...
Now?
Say again?
Is he sitting now?
He's laying down. No, he's not sitting there. We prop him up. Did anybody see that guy this week that they did that? They gave the video game controller? That was amazing. We'll talk about that on a break. Anyway, so just wrapping our head around what these behaviors are like, loading up or front loading our pain, as we say, doing a little bit of research ahead of time can help us out. Now, if we are restricted, if Marco's client does not leave his footprint in San Antonio and he only deals with people of the same race and the same gender and the same religion and the same nationality and the same tribe in San Antonio, Marco doesn't need to broaden or expand his knowledge very much. But is there a possibility that today his boss is going to be meeting with somebody who's from Bujumbura, Burundi? Can that happen?
Yeah.
Okay? So what do you guys know about that place? What's their principal religion? What's their form of government? What's their literacy rate? What's their customs? What's their courtesies? What is it, right? Do we know? Do we not know? There's a little phrase in italics right there in your books. You guys can see the ugly American. Who's ever heard that before? You've heard that before. Tell us what ugly American means to you.
We just kind of have like this consensus that everything we do is normal and we're just kind of better than everybody. We're like the big brother, right? So we just kind of act that way, like our shit doesn't stink.
I like it. I like it. I like it. So the ugly American, when he gets off an airplane, no matter where he is, what language does the ugly American expect everybody to speak? English. Actually, not English. American. Speak American. All right? So that's point number one. The ugly American, one, he expects everyone to speak American. Number two, what restaurant does the ugly American want to see everywhere he goes? All right? The size, flavor, heat, consistency, portions, preparation of everything to the ugly American are always compared to the way they are in the U.S. How many of you guys have ever traveled internationally, ordered a Coke, and you might get a Coke in a very, very, very small glass without ice? Who's ever experienced that? Okay, so serving size is a kind of distinctly American versus we get a Coke at 7-Eleven and it's 4 liters in a cup with a whole bag of ice and it costs 50 cents and you get 4 hot dogs for $1 and right? And all these things, and then we'll go someplace else and get preposterously small serving size. Yes? So we shouldn't be the ugly American. We shouldn't be that person that's in the room. Now, the rest of the world has a love-hate relationship with us because we don't build Taco Bells at gunpoint. We don't do that. So they clench their fist and they get angry and they hate the Americans for pushing their culture, but at the same time, what? They want it. They absolutely want it. We could take and build a whatever. We could build a KFC in Tanzania and it'll be absolutely killing it in business within 6 months. So it's They love our music, they love our movies, they love our culture, they love our fashion, they love all that, and they love to hate it at the same time too. So just be conscious of that. Let's talk about setting you guys up for success. So first of all, resources. My phone's running video right here, so I can't pull it up in front of you, but I cannot encourage you guys enough to go onto the App Store and purchase, I think it's $4.99, is the CIA World Fact Book. It's an open source application. Do you guys run that? Do you guys have that on your phones now? I just called you out there, shame on me. Anyway, so it goes country by country, alphabetical order, and we can take and we can pull up anything. We can pull up Ecuador and we can find out, again, what's the capital, what's population, religion, imports, exports, birth weight, literacy, life expectancy, chief export, chief import, religion. We can find out all of those things. Why are those things valuable to us? Why are they valuable? Do we have certain things like dietary restrictions in certain religions? So here we are, Marco's client is about to greet the visitor who's coming in from Turkey, right? What do we know about Turkey? What do we know about it? So Marco's trying to set out refreshments and he's trying to set out snacks and all those things, and he can educate himself to a degree on Turkey before that individual comes in, so he doesn't look like a clown when that guy comes in and wind up embarrassing himself or the client. Second book right there, available on Amazon, Kiss, Bow, or Shake Hands. And what do you guys think that's about? That's about the CIA World Fact Book is more facts about nations. It's metrics, it's numbers. And Kiss, Bow, or Shake Hands is about things such as what? Customs, courtesies, those unique little behaviors that we have from nation to nation. And then Emily Post's book on etiquette, which primarily focuses on things such as dining and table etiquette and that sort of stuff. I'm not going to go into great detail, but I'm really, more than anything, I'm just trying to put a number of things onto your radar and get you guys kind of thinking about things. So going from top to bottom here, down these bullets that are at the bottom. So patriarchy, love it or hate it. Ladies in the room, love it or hate it. If we go outside of the U.S., there are differing opinions on females. That's a fact, all right? Where's my law enforcement officers in the room? Where are you at? Have you dealt with any males from the Middle East?
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever seen a male from the Middle East in a law enforcement capacity have to deal with a female police officer?
They won't.
They won't. They won't. He's correct. And it's not my job to change the world, but that's something for us to be aware of. And I've seen that before, where they will become apoplectic and they're standing there and they'll say, I need to talk to a supervisor, and you'll say, okay, great, this is Molly, and she walks, I can't compute, because in his culture it's just, there's no way he's going to take direction from somebody like that. That's something for us to just be conscious of, be aware of that. How about personal space? How about our definitions of personal space? Not to keep picking on people from the Middle East, but who has dealt with people from the Middle East and seen examples of personal space? What have you seen? How is it different, would you say, from Western culture?
You're just one on top of the other.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, sometimes you'll be having a conversation with someone and you feel a little bit uncomfortable. Who remembers what a tell is, right? That physiological manifestation of our mental state. And we'll do what? We'll take a step back. And then I'll take a step forward. And it just becomes this racing match, or this little physiological tug of war where we're going back and forth with each other. So it changes. That personal space doesn't just refer to standing or engaging in business or speaking to one another. That personal space can also refer to living conditions, right? So we look at it as, I'll put it like this. If we go to certain nations, right? We could go to a third world nation. We could go into a room that's a single room, and living in that single room is mom, dad, and they have 6 children, and they all live and sleep in that same room. And mom keeps getting pregnant. So how's that happening? Right? Their definition of personal space is substantially different from what our standard or our definition on that may be. It is what it is. Be conscious. Hygiene. Here in the U.S., we have a standard of hygiene, what's acceptable, right? We don't do seasonal showers. We do them a little more frequently than that. And then obviously other places, whether it be because of access or whatever. Marco was talking to you yesterday about body odor on folks and them looking at that as some sort of sign or badge of masculinity or who knows what.